guys, welcome back into my studio, and today we are going to be talking about printer ink. Everyone wants to know about printer ink. For quite a long time I had been printing my stuff out on just a regular HP printer, this little guy right there, all the way until this year when I decided to print my own stickers. Fun fact, if you want to print stickers, not all HP printers enjoy printing on glossy sticker paper. They will print on glossy photo paper, but for some reason they don't like glossy sticker paper. For that reason and several more, I decided to upgrade my printer from my little HP printer to that beast right there. The Canon Pixma Pro 100 was considerably a lot more money than my $99 little HP printer. I've said this before in other videos where I talk about my printers, that if you're going to spend $300+ for a printer, you better notice a difference. And there is a difference. The Pixma Pro, hashtag not sponsored, is an amazing printer, but it's expensive. And not just the printer is expensive. This printer has 8 cartridges. Each one of those cartridges, $16.99 if you want to buy them individually, which math is $135.92. Or you can buy the full set for a little over $110, something like that. That's expensive, you guys, really, really expensive. So I decided to do a little bit of research and find out about refilling my own ink cartridges. I watched so many different videos on different types of ink cartridges and refill systems out there. And there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to decide on, and I recommend everyone does your own research. Ultimately, I decided to go with a company, hashtag also not sponsored, Precision Inks. While researching how to use this company and how to refill their inks, I wish there had been a video like the one I'm going to give you, which is a person who really doesn't know what they're doing figuring this out, because I was a person who did not know what I was doing, and I just wanted to know that someone else out there was having the same issues that I was having trying to figure this out. So allow me to introduce you to the ink cartridge. There are a lot of important features about this little guy. We have the very cool sponges, which I have learned are unlike normal sponges. They're actually super, super cool. There's also this part here, which is your reserve well. When this runs out, that's when your printer lets you know that your ink is low or out or something. You can actually damage your printer because it overheats if it runs out of ink in here. So up here is some important information. At first glance, this is just like, you know, telling you what color it is and all of that cool stuff. But this part here holds a mighty secret, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But the most important thing about this little cartridge is right here. This is the chip. This tells the printer everything it wants to know about what you're doing with this. So it's highly recommended to get a chip reader. This little guy right here. This plugs into a USB port, and you take your little cartridge and you insert it here and you push down, and if it's plugged in, which it's not right now, it'll flash a little light and then all of a sudden glow. And once it does, this little thing is reset and your printer doesn't know the difference. Hopefully I will be able to do it correctly, but this is a journey into I've done one of them. I filled one and it was horrible. I'm still stained from the ink around my fingers, but I'm going to attempt to do another one and refill it. And I'm going to take you along the journey so that any mistakes that I make, hopefully you can learn from them. And if by chance I happen to do this correctly, then you can learn from that as well. So let's get to work. The starter kit that I purchased came with 8 bottles. This is the one that I refilled and have made the most mistakes. Most recently is, even though the lid is on tight, I accidentally had this where it tipped over, and as you can see, the ink has leaked out all over there. So make sure you keep these in an upright, locked position, because you're just going to make messes left and right. As pre-mentioned before, it comes with this USB chip resetter, which also has been ornately dyed with ink because I'm a very messy person. For those of you who have trouble looking at syringes, I'm just gonna let you know that there is a syringe coming. It doesn't have a pointy needle, it has more like a straw-like needle, but just in case syringes make you woozy, turn away. But it does come with this cool syringe with, like I said, this is definitely not pointy. It's just a little metal straw that just snaps right on here. Now there is a set that you can get that has 8 different syringes, so you don't have to worry about rinsing those out, but really I would rinse them out anyway, so I figured one would be fine. Next, it comes with these little rubber plugs, which you'll find out why they're so important later on. While it also gave me a clean, brand new one of these, I have not used it. This isn't it. This is an old one that I have, but it came with it, but I can't find it. I have stuck it somewhere. And last but probably not least, because I'm probably forgetting something, it included a ball removal kit, which is this little circle screw thing and a very elaborate thumbtack, which I thought was hilarious, but in all reality, extremely useful. Tools that you're going to want to make sure that you have that are not included in this kit is one, some sort of sharp knife like a box cutter or a craft blade. I have both. I find it very helpful to have a pair of pliers. Definitely you're going to want a messy mat because things get messy. Some tissues for wiping up amounts of ink. Hopefully with more practice you won't spill as much ink as I did. Some rubber bands to hold things in place. I'll talk about that in a second. And the most important thing that I thought, surely you don't need it, but you do, and this is one thing to take into consideration if you're going to do this, is a power drill with this size drill bit in it. I had the power drill, but I did not have this size bit, and other sizes don't work, so I had to go get this size. Luckily, these are easy to find at any kind of store. I didn't even have to go to a hardware store. Like at Walmart, you could find these. But not everyone has a power drill. So let's get started. The one I'm going to switch today is my light pink. So here we go. This is our ink cartridge. As you can see, it's getting low. It's not out yet, but it's going to be out soon. So I'm going to refill it. The thing I want to know is that because there's so much ink in here, if I squeeze this at all, ink is going to drip out. So that is where one of these things come in really handy. This one's dirty, so I'm going to clean it off a little bit there. And then I'm going to place this on here like that. And to keep this on here, because it's not wanting to stay on there by itself, that's why you have a rubber band that I'm going to put on there like now. Now that I have this here, no ink is going to hopefully not leak out of here. As I said before, this top part here holds a myriad of secrets. And one of them is right behind this little barcode. This is where we're actually going to put the ink in, but first we have to do some altercations to this ink cartridge before we can do that. And the first thing is to remove this plastic that's where the blade comes in nice and handy. So I'm going to find around there and I'm going to carve away. It's a little circle shape. Once you have that cleared away pretty well, you can see a small little plastic ball in there. Now you ain't gonna get that out without your amazing ball removal kit. To use this high-tech device, simply uncap your thumbtack and you're going to then insert it and poke a hole into it just to give yourself a starting hole. Just like that. I don't know if you can see that little hole there. But that just helps you to get this screw to go in, and this was the most challenging part for me. It is a glorious day when you start feeling it tug on that and you know, you're almost there. By this time my hands are exhausted, and that's why I use these little pliers to help pull this out and hopefully not damage myself any further. Bam! It's like pulling a tooth. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the hardest part. All right, from this point, we have to do a little bit of drilling. This seems like such a big drill for such a little thing. You also notice that all my ink has gone into here. It's because I've been squeezing it. And it's really easy to do this, I mean, without drilling your hand. I'm not scared a bit. There we go. Like that. That's the scariest part. I don't like drilling things. Next comes the messiest part. Oh, one more thing you're going to need is some blue tape. I mean, I suppose it could be any kind of tape, but I'm going to use blue tape. Now, I would highly recommend before you do this part, we're going to go ahead and reset the machine. Reset the chip, so I'm going to. You don't want to have to reset this thing when it is full and dripping full of ink. Tape this off so that I can reset this. Now, the reason you put the tape on here is there's a vent hole in here. If I did not tape that vent hole off and I took this off, all of this ink is gonna come rushing out. It might come rushing out anyway, but it won't come rushing out as bad, hopefully. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and sink this in here. Nope, not that way. This way. Little chippy thing right there. And you just push until it glows all the way. Now it's completely reset the chip. I'm gonna put this back on there again because we ain't done. And now we are going to go ahead and open our bottle of ink. Now we're gonna go ahead and fill this syringe up. Actually, you don't need to fill it up. I'm gonna take it about halfway. So I'm gonna stick this in here and come up like that. It looks like blood. So I want the vent holes right now to be clear so that I can fill the chamber up to, because I want to fill this chamber up to right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and block that off. So I'm going to squirt that right in there. Right about there. Once it's there, I'm going to go ahead and cover that back up again and fill the rest of it. And don't go super fast because you don't want it to scooch out everywhere. Now you don't want to fill it all the way up either. You want to leave about 1/4 of an inch from the top so that it has room to do its thing. The last thing we're going to do is get one of these little plugs. That's the reason why we drilled a hole in that in the first place, was so that this little plug will fit in there nice and neatly. Does beautifully just like that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a full and finished new cartridge of ink. Take that off because that plug's in there and this is on there, so now I can go ahead and put this back. But before I do that, let's just avoid catastrophe and put the lid tightly back on my ink. I'll rinse this out after I get this back in here, but let's go ahead and put that back into my printer. And there we go. My printer is going to voice its complaints about being disturbed in the background, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys has answered some of the questions that I had. But this was part of my journey, so I thought I would share that with you. And man, you're so noisy. I gave you no ink. You should be thankful. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found some interesting tidbits of information, or at least laughed at the silliness of me trying to do this thing. This was challenging. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And as always, guys, God bless you guys, and we'll see you in another art video. Bye-bye. Oh, sure, it's quiet now.